Everyone, welcome back to the Positive Living Center, and to those on Zoom with us this morning, good morning to you too. And I want to welcome anyone who's here for the first time, and I believe Steve, is it the correct name? Yeah, Steve's here with us for the first time from North Fork. So welcome, Steve. Welcome to you. Yes. Anybody new on Zoom? I think it's the same suspects, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Well, this is the year of living from one's core values, and October is finally almost done. It's been a long, long month. And the themes this month are temperance, tranquility, and trustfulness. We've been hearing speakers talk about these all month long and really been enjoying what everyone has to say about that. A nice, cool autumn morning. I love this time of year, don't you? It's wonderful. It's just very soothing, especially in the afternoons. If you go out and sit outside for a little while in the sun, then the shade starts coming earlier and earlier as we get ready to change our time too, in early November. I just love this time of year. I get to see so many animals coming out. Really nice, very peaceful. I'll ask Jim Savarino to come up and play a little something for us this morning. Let's give Jim some love. He's our musician today.
Thank you.
It's been a while since we've seen Jim. I'll have him play a little something as we get ready for meditation this morning.
Thanks for that. So I want to have a request that anybody, especially my friends, but my sister's nearing the end of her life, so please keep her in your prayers and thoughts.
Yes.
Be very appreciative.
Yes. Let's relax, close our eyes. Just be here, present, physically, mentally, spiritually here. And take time to think of your loved ones or something that you're thinking about, that you want to give thanks for.
There's a place I go where the forest is green, carpet of moss by a clear running stream. I drink my fill, lie on the ground, listen, I hear the sound. It's the sound of the earth reborn, healing the things we've torn. The sound of the earth reborn.
God, Spirit, Source, whatever name you call for God is okay. I give great thanks for this morning, as I do each morning, and to be here today at the Spiritual Living Center, enjoying these other souls, enjoying the weather, the time of year, and for all of us to find and spend time with those we care about, in remembrance of all those that we love. We are all so grateful to be here together today. I give thanks for this, dear God, and so much more. And so it is. Thank you, Jim. That was beautiful. Well, we have a spiritual thought coming next, and I believe that's going to be from Reverend Lujuana Bull. Good morning, LJ.
Hi, Joey.
How do you do?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My favorite 4 states of mind are clean and clear and awake and aware. And I love to be in them. And it's not always so. I was listening to David Pramal in the 21 mantra meditations. And one of the things she says is that you think if you become enlightened, that you will no longer feel anger. You'll no longer have these emotions that get stirred up. And then she proceeded to say, that's not what she's found. What she's found is that when they do come up, there's no internal fight. When they do happen, there's no story we make about it, about ourselves. We experience it. We feel it. So my spiritual thought today on the themes of temperance and tranquility and trustfulness relate to the changeless and the changeable and changing. That we are always, at some level of us, changeless. And there is always change going on. Quite the paradoxical and. The changeless, the same eyes that look through at 5-year-old LJ. Didn't even know I had a nickname of LJ back then. My name was Lujuana, and everybody said it wrong. and I remember being in the car with my family. I was in the back seat, vivid memory, and I had just learned that a word that I thought meant something didn't. It didn't mean that. I wish I could remember the word. It'd make a much better story. It would make a whole great story. I don't remember the word, but I remember the aha. La Jolla? Oh no, Joe's thinking of another memory. I'll share that one just for kicks and grins. But when I was 5, it was the aha that word didn't mean what I thought it meant. And my little 5-year-old mind had accepted that word as meaning something. And then I had just learned that it meant something else. And that was so eye-opening for me at the moment. So the same little changeless being was observing that experience. That is observing the experiences I'm having today. the witness, the divine spark of awareness. However, it feels true for each of us. The changeless and the changing. Where I am today, somebody said something about moving. A client of mine said something about moving. When you move and you size down, nobody ever told you that that was going to be like a death. Because you're saying goodbye to all that stuff when you size down that you had previously kept and stored and been with, and that it was going to be a letting go. And as I'm in my waning years of my business, you know, that when it started, I put one client file in the file drawer and I go, you won't be alone, there's more coming. But here I am, still loving serving people, but knowing it's time. And having a flood of memories that's happened over the last 38 years. That really I didn't have time to entertain, but this letting go experience I'm in, wow, are they showing up? So a lot of changes. And the weirdest thing is it's always been that way, hasn't it? Haven't we always been letting go of something? A little 5-year-old letting go of an old meaning that old meaning at 5 years old. But the meaning she held a minute ago and letting it go, and everything's always changing. I have trustfulness. There's an Emerson quote, and I wish I was doing it in his words rather than paraphrasing right now, but the Emerson quote is basically, for the things I have seen of spirit or of God, I trust God for the rest. Namaste.
Thank you, LJ. I thought you were going to refer to,
I know.
she was
Can I say it?
she was quite young.
No,
Oh, you were younger.
no.
No. How old were you?
Joe and I were driving down to Southern California. First time I've gone past LA.
Wait, go back to the last.
Okay.
All right, Joe and I were driving south of LA, my first time. We were heading to San Diego. And my name is Lujuana, Lujuana. All through school, it was butchered. Luana, Luella, Luisa, Linguisa. I mean, it was just butchered. Lujuana was one that happened occasionally. So I had a little bit of snobbery about the Hispanic pronunciation of Juana, and had some attitude. And we're going to Southern California, and I go, I've never heard of La Jolla. Immediately humbled after he told me, no, honey, it's La Jolla.
Don't think you're Canadian, that's what you think it is.
Well, you think being half Mexican, she would have gotten that right.
You would have thought that.
Oh, my
well.
goodness. Jim, you have another song for us?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Jim's just kicking back over there, enjoying himself. And I'm like, yeah, you got a job to do, right?
A gift to give.
A gift to give.
I said La Jolla. La Jolla.
La Jolla.
La Jolla.
Yeah.
Briefly. So it's interesting that little story with this is I met an angel once, and I mean it was coming out of a Starbucks, okay? It was not like it was a big enlightening moment or something. I was just going in, and a woman who was probably in my 30s, probably in her 50s, 60s, was coming out. And I looked at her and I just froze. And I was just, this astonishment. And I didn't know why. And then goosebumps all over and my hair standing up. She looked at me, said, hello. And then, sort of like, okay, you see me now. Keep going tonight. Got my coffee. I was in a daze. I got in the car and was driving down the 405 freeway and going to work. And then it hit me. It's like, oh, that was just not a normal person. That was somebody special. This song's loosely based on that because we didn't speak. This is something that it's part of. I met an angel today. In a crowd, she passed my way. She said, perhaps you might guide me or find some helpful words to say. And I said, hide your wings, so I will think you're earthen bound. Close your eyes, so I will think. Stop the light from shining round. Stand with folded wings on the ground. As I watched, she was gone. Just a memory lingered on. Some small voice in my brain said, you'll see me once again. Till then I'll hide my wings, so I will think I'm earthen bound. Close my eyes, stop the light from shining round. Stand with folded wings on the ground. Now I wander place to place. Now I search every face. And I wonder who's the one with a heart that hides the sun. Now she'll stand by her wing, so I will think she's earthen bound. Close her eyes to stop the light from shining round. Stand with folded wings on the ground. Oh, hey, hide your wings, so I will think you're earthen bound. Close your eyes to stop the light from shining round. Stand with folded wings on the ground.
Mr. Jim Savarino. Thank you, Jim. Beautiful. I do believe you did meet an angel that day. It's fabulous. Well, it's time now for our speaker for this morning, and I'm going to ask Reverend Kim Haley to come up. Come on, Kim,
Okay,
would you like a little looser?
I would. Thank you.
Do I know you now or what?
Yes, you do.
There you
Thank you
go.
for that.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, Jim, I felt I felt lullabied.
Mhm.
That was a lullaby. That was just, I truly mean it. I felt so relaxed, so lovely. Anyway, maybe that'll help me along with my talk. And thank you, LJ. I kept changing things this last 2 months, October and September, or September and October. They became extremely busy for me. Had nothing in my diary except what to do here. And then things changed, boom, just like that. And it's partly what you were talking about too, is how things can change and to be present in the moment when it happens and not duck and cover. Because it's not always an earthquake, it's not always a bolt of lightning, unless it's a nice inspiration that might feel like that. But anyway, I was walking around and I've been thinking about these 3 themes. The themes of temperance, of trustfulness, and I keep wanting to say truthfulness, and I actually did a few weeks ago, and tranquility. Now, I was not a tranquil child. Tranquility was not part of my makeup. I was high strung and high energy and bouncing off the walls, and probably sugar didn't help promote that. But I remember, as part of growing up, the first time I ever heard the word tranquility. Now, I'm wondering if somebody else talked about this or not, but it was in the 60s, and I was a teenager going into high school, and we got to watch the first moon landing. I think it was 1969. I think it was 1969. And what happened is they were talking about Tranquility Bay. I think it's Tranquility Bay.
Sea of Tranquility?
Or the Sea of Tranquility. Thank you. That's what it was. And I went, tranquility. And that just, I don't know, my imagination got triggered. I wondered what that word meant. And it stuck with, and that was kind of, all of our imaginations around the world were connected at that time because we were watching the first moon landing. Whether that's a debatable thing or not, I don't care. I thought that's what was happening. And we were watching it, and on, I think it was black and white TV too, at school, they let us watch it. And they had a room set up. And that's when I kind of connected with it. And I thought for a while that tranquility had to do with this dusty place up in the air. And I have since then reframed that word for myself, that tranquility is not that, just that place. I found different places that I found what tranquility means, and the place isn't really a place on the outside, it's the place on the inside. It's that power that we have on the inside to go to a place when everything around us is abuzz and everything is crazy fast and we're working hard and so many things are coming at us from so many different directions that it feels like life is kind of hard-edged. And to temper that, see, I got temperance in there. To temper that, because temperance is to take something and that is something, say, that is dry and moisten it, or something that is hard and soften it. That's what I think temperance is, to temper it and to make maybe a wonderful combination of things work better. You know, like relationships, or even our life, if our life is too speedy and too quick and too much is happening and we feel this hard edge, to take a deep breath. And tranquility will help you temper that and make it a softer, more receptive state of being. And meditation really moves that along quite quickly and highlights that. And you can watch what's going on, and you don't have to feel maybe responsible for it or anything. You can just drop it, just let it go. And now a lot of people will say, well, how can I let all these things go in my life? And I said, I'm not asking you to let everything go. It's actually an active thing. I'm saying, give yourself a bath of calmness. Because I will say that your approach to everything else will be easier, more easeful when you let go. When I let go, inspiration can find me. When I let go, inspiration can find me. Something will come across the screen of my mind and say, how about this? How about you add this in your talk? Or how about you think about this? Because when I'm doing these talks, I get a little tense. Am I going to have the right thing to say? Am I going to be able to give something to someone? And I can get into the thinking mind, and it gets hard up there, it gets tight. And I want to let go. Letting go is a goal. Just let go. And then what happens for me, somebody calls me, I have a conversation, I hear a word, something comes across the screen of my mind, I breathe, I meditate, and things coalesce. And it says, how about this? And I don't have to accept it, but I can look at it and I go, well, that's something. So an idea came to me, or it was a story from the past, and I kept hearing the word imagination. 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 And I said this to my sister on a phone conversation that we just had. And I said, I just keep getting that word kept coming up for me. How do I imagine my life to be? What is imagination? And she related a story to me, and I will relate it to you now. And the story, my sister's heavily involved right now with a podcast with Lynn McTaggart, who's a writer, and she studies a lot of different things. She wrote The Field. She tries to make science understandable to the layperson. And she was interviewing Jean Houston. And Jean Houston is sort of like I don't know what other word to use, the forerunner of all what is the word I put? Let me see what I said about her. She's somebody I never studied, but she's actually brought forth a lot of things about spirituality and metaphysics and things like that. And she was being interviewed, and she talks about intention, she talks about a lot of things, but her story was when she was 7 or 8 years old. And she went to a specific school, a school that wanted to introduce the students to their elders, to people that were like Einstein and Helen Keller. And this one day that she went to school, the teacher said, we're going to hop on the ferry and we're going to go see and meet Einstein at Princeton. So all these little 7 and 8 year olds got on this boat, and they were taken to his classroom in Princeton. And she said it was like big chalkboards with all these chalky, equations all over the place. And she was like looking at it all. It seemed like the room might have been filled with this dust of the chalk going across the board. And they all sat down, and in came this humble looking man, not that tall in stature. And it was Einstein. And he gets up in front of the class and he goes, any questions? And this little boy raised his hand and he goes, yes, Mr. Einstein, how can I be as smart as you? How can I be as smart as you? And Einstein looked at him and said, read fairy tales. Read fairy tales. And the little boy looked perturbed. That's not the answer he was looking for. He wanted the secret. And that's, so the little boy sat down, and somebody else raised his hand, and it was another little boy. And he said, "How can we be as smart as you?" He asked him the same question. And Einstein said, "Read more fairy tales." And so again, this was not the answer that he was looking for. And finally, young Jean Houston raised her hand at 7 years old and said, "Mr. Einstein, you're talking about imagination, aren't you?" And the reason she was so, she knew about imagination so much is that her father, this is an aside, was a comedy writer. And it took him a lot of imagination to write his jokes or comics, just like Bob Hand. He's our resident comedian. And it takes a lot of creativity to do that. So he said, yeah, that's what it is. It's imagination. And he said, "People think that I'm this great mathematician scientist," he said, "but they don't know. I see myself on a light beam, and I'm looking at time and space go by." He says, "I see myself on a beam. That's my imagination." And he said, "That's my secret, imagination." So she related that story, and I thought, imagination can cut both ways. We can let our imaginations run away with us when we're stressed and we're not tempering our lives. Our imagination can tell us around every corner is something spooky and a boogeyman, and something's gonna get us, and we can live in fear all of our lives. I'm not saying that those things aren't out there, but this is where we can seek refuge by going within and tempering and using maybe our imagination to help us. And you don't have to do anything either. I mean, if you go to meditate, you just watch. You just sit in stillness and watch. And sometimes we get a little more active and we can use our imaginations. And when I was a kid, and I might have told this story before, I was a very fearful child. I was terrified of everything. I was scared of the basement noises. I didn't know what to expect, and I lived quite a high-pitched lifestyle for a kid. And I remember at night when I laid in my bed, the stories I'd read, and then I would make up my own stories. I would make up a story of maybe little creatures that were dressed like humans that lived in a tree, and I think Beatrice Parler has it all down. I think they were squirrels, I'm not sure. And they were using little things. They had beds, and they had a nice home life, and they were all those things. And just doing that action of imagining, I felt calm. I felt relaxed. I felt at ease, and I was in a different world that I could imagine. And it served me for years. And I look back and I go, that was an interesting thing that happened there. That helped me to move forward and to get to sleep and feel relaxed and be in this world. And we can all do that. We can do that at any time. There's many different ways to approach it. I also wanted to talk to you about that I wasn't here last week because I had received it seemed like out of the ethers, a sponsorship to go to a retreat workshop. It was here in Oakhurst, but you had to stay there, and I was so grateful. It just came out of nowhere, and I wouldn't have spent the money at this point on that because I'm kind of watching my coinage right now. And so I got this, and it was like such a nice gift to receive. And so I accepted, and that's why we had to really shift a lot of things around here so that I could go. And the leadership of this place wanted us to feel safe and to trust the experience that we were going to have. There were many fine speakers there. They spoke about grief. They spoke about creativity. They spoke about the earth, like an earth keeper's place, and then our place in it. How do we relate to that? What are our own sense of power in this. What do we think? What is our intention? That was the other thing she asked. Sorry, this is a really important thing. What is our intention for being there? What do we want to get out of this experience? And, she wanted to stress that we had safety in being there and we could just trust whatever the experience was going to be. So I felt interconnectedness, connection. And I heard later that human beings will go without water and go without you can't go without oxygen for too long, but they would go without food in order to have a connection with somebody or something. Connection is so vital to the human experience. And that's what I wanted. And I got it. I got it in spades, if you like. I got it. I got to connect with people, we laughed together, we cried together, we experienced our grief together. I met new friends, and it's always a joy to do that. So that, to me, there was a trustfulness that had to happen in order to open up to people I had never met before. And also to hear myself, to connect not only with other people, I had to connect with myself in that instance. So I did. And I found out a lot of things about myself that, I thought maybe that I had already dealt with or knew about myself. So that was also the gift in being at that retreat and workshop. And it will continue to give to me because I have new friends, which I love. And that's terrific. So let me see, what else did I want to tell you? Oh, this is what I was going to tell you too. I have been reading this book called The Surrender Experiment. And, it's an interesting book. It's by Michael A. Singer, who wrote Untethered Soul. And it's his story. It's his story about how he really loved being a meditator. And I forget how he got into meditation, but he loved meditation from before, I think, or during his university years. He could hardly wait to get back and get away from his class, get away from people, and meditate, because that's what he loved doing. But he also realized, and why it's called the surrender experiment, is that life would ask him to do other things that he didn't really see himself doing, or go into a direction that he was not wanting to go in, or including people in his life that he just wanted his own space all the time. But he realized that's not what, he was open enough from all the meditation to realize that life was always going to be sending him something to change his mind. And I mean, his story is quite fascinating. He basically is responsible for a big spiritual community that grew in Florida, and it's still there to this day, and there's a temple and people live on it, and he had no money to even start with, but he had acquired all of this property and acquired more people that wanted to come. When the person he needed in his life for whatever, like bookkeeping or whatever, they'd show up. They showed up. And he would always go, oh, life is sending me all of this right here, right now. And I thought too, when I was doing my little yard sale, I also had a big yard sale going on, and I was not looking forward to it. I did not want to do it because I did not want to haggle and over something over 3 cents here or 50 cents there or whatever. I just didn't want to do that. So in the end, I woke up and I go, I'm just going to give this stuff away. I'm going to give it away. And as I gave it away, I felt great. I lightened my load. I felt terrific. And that is when I got this sponsorship. It seemed like the universe went, okay, here's your gift, if you like. Here's something that will help you feel better. So all of those things are there. Trusting the moment, being in trust, and being able to temper your life when you feel hard and you feel pushed and you feel uncomfortable and life is not always easy. You can go into the tranquil place in yourself. Maybe that's why I called it tranquility base. I think there's a tranquility base within us all. And Emerson says, what lies within us is the most important thing. So to close, what I would like to talk about, or have you do if you want to participate with that, well, maybe I also want to remind you about one other thing about this hard-edged stuff. What you could let go of for a while is maybe the routine that you always follow. Maybe if you feel comfortable enough, maybe one day don't watch the news, because anything you need to find will find you. It will find you. And, you know, maybe write or walk or meditate or paint or sing or dance or just sit. Give yourself the gift of just sitting still. And I know Halloween's around the corner, so if you want to play, you know, sometimes it's like, maybe ask your 7-year-old self, what would you like to go as? What character would you like to be for Halloween? That's another thing. You can have fanciful thoughts. You can let yourself just have fun. And I think if you went as Einstein, he would definitely approve, because he was into that. You're using a different part of your brain. So let's have a few. I'm going to just say to close, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to move over to the front, because this has always helped me. And I still do it. Oh, don't let that ringing sound. This has always helped me when I start getting tense or when something is hooking me and I don't want to go to that place. It's so easy. It's breathe. And it's called breath coherence. The Heart Math Institute has found that you can drop from the head, the busy head of ideas and thoughts, into the heart. And you can do it simply by remembering the heart. You can put your hand on your heart if you wish to. And then you breathe in 6 beats. 1, 2, at your own pace, it's easier. 3, 4, 5, 6, and you let it out longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's the ratio that's important. The in-breath is shorter than the out-breath is longer. And as you go, you're releasing. And you're in the heart. Touching the heart, you're in the heart. And you do that 3 or 4 times until you're not in that head, that busy head that's poking and prodding you to maybe be angry about something or scared or distracted. Any of that. It works. We'll take another one. And I wish you the best peaceful week ahead and fun. Thank you.
Calmness. I like the fact that you talked about calmness does not relinquish our responsibilities. It just relaxes us so we can get back into our responsibilities without being so uptight about things. Taking our time and taking care of ourselves first and foremost. It's beautiful, thank you. Could I have somebody come up and help me with offertory, please?
I guess that's what you mean.
Oh, looks like I got 2 of them.
Do you need another one? Oh, I got
Barney?
No.
Let's do our offertory statement, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. Thank you, ushers. Thank you. And I believe everybody on Zoom knows how to tithe. If you have any questions about that, ask Reverend Misty about it. She can explain that to you.
And hi, everybody on Zoom.
Hi, everyone on Zoom.
Hi.
There you go, Seth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any announcements this morning? LJ?
Oh, Barney first.
All right.
Okay, this is a, please indulge me as I know you can't help it anyways. 30, let's see, how do I say? I finally achieved my childhood dream, goal, my imagination 31 years ago by acquiring a large piece of land with a river on it and starting an organic farm, an intentional community. And then through several events, I basically was cast out of my little Eden. And I was really upset with my business partner that I had founded it with and the whole situation. And for probably 25 years, I've held that little bit of anger, and whenever we would come together, it'd be like a little parry and thrust situation. Last night, I went to my old farm for a party after all of the COVID stuff and everything. And I met with my old business partner. And I went to give him a hug, and as I hugged him, I felt his frailty and this sensitivity this washed over me, because I realized that this person I'd been holding anger for and almost like a resistance to was somehow becoming less strong and frail. And in that moment, it melted me and I became frail and sensitive. And all I could feel in that moment was, what am I holding on to? I'm holding on to this thing that is less, it's just not there. And the only thing, I can feel it now, is that as I listened to Good Medicine last night playing, I thought Deb, and if anyone knows, they're growing older, and we're all on this journey, and it's getting shorter and shorter. You know, as we approach these places and these changes, even Angelo Pizzello, when he founded this beautiful organization, like you, he had to pass it on and let it go into other hands to be held by. Now there are these beautiful hands who are holding it also, the people that have taken it on. So I guess I found that little sea of tranquility last night, and peace and love and acceptance for what is. And we played music all night, and later on, and when we were by the fire, as happenstance would be, he ended up sitting next to me, and we kind of looked at each other and talked, and we shook hands. And then I don't know what moved me, but I just kind of took his hand and I kissed it. And then he took my hand and kissed it, and we looked at each other's eyes, and it was just poof, gone in a second. Anyway, so I encourage everyone to let it all go, surrender, and just be with each other and love each other. That's all.
Thank you, Bob. Great reminders about all of us, to all of us. LJ?
Just a reminder that we're doing 21 mantra meditations. We're going to be doing 3 of them each Sunday. They follow at 11:15, so it's not too long after the service ends, and all are welcome. It's
for about an hour, right?
Yeah, it's just about 1 hour, 11:15 to 12:15, and you're all welcome. And there was something else. What else? Okay. Already said that.
Tell me about the flowers and stuff you brought.
No, that's for Kim.
Okay.
Um,
I'm housing.
you got no more help for me?
I got one.
Well, then that must be it. But you are most welcome, and I hope that you can attend. Oh, love offering basis.
Thank you, OJ. Anyone else?
I was gonna mention John Lalonde.
Yes, John Lalonde. He is home resting and doing well.
Hi, John.
We put out some big prayers his way. He had elective surgery on his knee, and I've spoken with him, and he's healing very, very well. So thanks to all of you who've been in his corner. He's doing great well. I really
And he's
miss
with
him.
us today.
Is he with us today?
He's with us today.
Well, hi, John. I didn't know you were with us. See, living proof. Beautiful. All right. Next week's speaker will be Reverend Sandy West. So we'll be here next Sunday for her. And it's time for our prayer of protection, one of my all-time favorite prayers. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The energy of God is me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Yes, thank you. And Mr. Jim Savarino, you got one more song for us?
Sure. I don't know what yet.
What else could he say to me, right? Sure. I got something.
Like, never ask a songwriter if they haven't. What choose something here? Oh, I know. I don't want to play this one. I was in New York for a couple of years, and I was writing like a New Yorker, you know, and I didn't like any of the songs, neither did anybody else. Then I went home to West Virginia on a weekend, and I was just walking down the road, and I heard a bullfrog, and then I wrote this song, and then I came back and I played it in my New York songwriting group, and they go, "Oh, Jim, this is very different than what you've been writing." And I said, "Yeah, I know, and I know I need nature around me to write." So that's and now I think I could even find nature in a big city, but that was too much for me. So. Walk to the sound of bullfrog. Firefly lighting my way, light on, light on, light on. 8 hours out of Brooklyn, over the wandering miles. My poetic justice, peaceful silent smiles, perfect
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Reverend Angelo, would you give us a closing prayer, please?
Dear well, thank you. Join me in prayer. Let us go within to the dimensions of unlimited potential and infinite possibilities. As life forms of this divine love, we are superior to any and all circumstances and conditions that confront us on our human journey. Through these human experiences, we gain awareness of this powerful love energy that we are superior to anything and everything that occurs within our life. We're grateful for these human experiences, and we're grateful for the power that comes within us as we confront whatever it is that is affronting us. We're grateful for this realization of the truth of our being, that we are this eternal life force experiencing the human drama. I'm grateful for this. We know this is the truth of our being, and we release it into the law of mind, knowing that it's so, and join me with the I am, and say, and so it is. Amen.
So it is. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. I hope you stick around for our chanting at 11:15. Have a great week too. Thank you.